Welcome back, everybody, to our Let's Build of this, yet again, unnamed park, which hopefully I will be able to name soon, but, we'll wait for a while until, I guess I'm a quarter of the way done. But, finally, we're doing something a little more interesting than just building a building, and going ever so slowly, and going bored of it. But, yeah, I digress. We're actually going to work on a roller coaster, finally, which, of course, was a not mentioned, but yeah, which was kind of mentioned by the Hasvarshian kid from the previous episodes, saying that it would be possibly good to make a roller coaster based on Harry Houdini. So of course, this was a little bit of a long episode, or actually it took a while to do this episode because I didn't really plan it. Like everything else I've already planned is technically all in my head, but this is all new. So of course I had to do some research, and of course I'm going to have a little bit more history lesson for you guys. It's not quite, theme park based, but seeing as we're on the topic of Harry Houdini, and magic is kind of like one of my hobbies that I like to do. Not high up with, roller coasters and animation and whatnot, but it's up there. Like, I kind of like doing a little bit of magician stuff every now and then. But yeah, while we're making this roller coaster, we'll have a brief history, not too detailed, just to get the gist of Mr. Harry Houdini himself. Just to focus on mostly like his life and his magic and his career. But yeah, the man was born as Eric Weiss in Budapest, Austria-Hungary. He later changed his name as soon as he started his acting career, acting career is a little later. His magic career, which of course is technically like acting, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Of course, his name was Eric. During his time in Hungary, his friends would give him a nickname. He would be known as Airy, kind of like, what's his name? Darn it. Forgot his name. Hagrid. There we go. Like that, Airy. That's how it would be nicknamed. And he would Americanize it, of course, naming himself Harry. So that's his first name. How he got Houdini was from his idol, another magician, a French magician, actually. His name was Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin. Sorry, I like butchering names. Remember, I just like ripping them to shreds. But it's a French name, so bear with me. Eugene Houdin. I don't know you do the H, but Houdin. But I know that he was pretty good at butchering names too. So he thought that the way to say his name was Houdin, and one of his friends actually told him like, hey, if you put an I after Houdin, in French, that would kind of mean like Houdin. So, of course, he got his name Houdini, which, of course, means like Houdin, at least to his friend. That's what he says. But, yeah, that's how he got his name, Harry Houdini. But, of course, moving on with his career, he did start his magic career with his brother Dash, also known as Theodore. I guess Dash was a stage name, kind of like Harry Houdini. They started performing at both the Columbian Expo, which, of course, right here is what we're basing it upon, and later Coney Island, where he did meet his wife, Bess. Later, he went to go ahead and team up with his wife. Before, they were called the Brothers Houdin when he was with his brother, but, of course, they kind of split up. Still on good terms, though. His brother would go on to do his own acts under the name Hardin, which, not ironically, but funny enough, people never knew that Houdini and Hardin were brothers. So anytime that they looked like they were competing, it was like really hard and like very competitive, and it's like they thought they were like arch rivals and really hated each other. But no, they were really close. They were really close for brothers, and of course they were both really into magic. So out of the 5 brothers he had, that was his only brother that he was really close to. So that was kind of funny knowing about that. But let's see, where am I here? But yeah, after that he was with his wife, and then they just had the Houdinis as their stage name. During his magic act, it was getting a little pretty rough. He did have this famous magic act he did called the Metamorphosis. It's probably one of the more famous magic acts where, of course, somebody is tied up and put in a sack and into a chest, locked it up, and the other guy would stand on the chest with a curtain, pull it up above himself, and then immediately drop the curtain, revealing that he metamorphosized into the person in the chest. And of course, they'd open the chest, and the guy that was standing on the chest before is now chained up, locked inside the sack. And yeah, Harry Houdini is the one that did that. There you go. But yeah, that was one of their popular magic acts. But it still wasn't enough for them. However, of course, he did started to change it up, asking the how do you say, the the audience members to go ahead and say, bring your handcuffs, bring your anything here to bind me up, and I'll escape from them. And that's when he actually got his break in careers. His big break in his career. He was hired by a famous vaudeville manager, and that's pretty much where he got his start. He started he kind of stopped with a regular magician act, the rabbit out of the hat and all the doves appearing out of nowhere, and began perfecting his escape artistry. Of course, he would do the typical, he would go to police stations and jails. He would ask the policemen to get as many stuff on him as possible, like bring your strongest chains and strongest handcuffs, and I'll escape out of them. And he would also go to prisons, and he would actually get stripped down naked, and have the policemen pat him down and make sure he doesn't have anything on him. They would lock him in the prison cells. And comedically enough, while he was locked in the prison cells, he would escape, of course, and then he would rearrange the prisoners that was here with them and change them into different jail cells, and then he would escape just to be fun and just to, laugh at the face of the policeman. I don't know, but it's good for performances and good for as an actor. So that's what he did. Later on, people were starting to copy him with his acts, particularly the one where he goes ahead and asks the audience, bring any of your handcuffs and chains and I'll escape out of them. Which, enough of a funny story, is that he found out somebody was copying him, went to his act, and when the guy copying him, told the audience, anybody who can bring the chains that can hold me, do so now. And then Harry Houdini stands up with his handcuffs and says, here, escape out of these. And of course the guy's like, oh, whoa, it's Harry Houdini. But of course he took the challenge, and of course he couldn't escape. And yeah, Harry Houdini was a bit of an asshole. But despite that, he was still a good magician, He's a little bit egotistical too. I mean, all the research that I've seen of him, he's kind of like the Tony Stark of the magic world. But I guess you still kind of like him. I mean, if you like Tony Stark, everyone loves Tony Stark. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. But everyone keeps copying his act. So he tried to make him more dangerous, so that anyone who's stupid enough to go ahead and copy it, let them copy it if they're, they want to take the risk as much as Harry did. And of course, that also, raised his popularity, that he did all these dangerous stunts. One of them being that he would tie himself up, of course, in chains, and then he would jump in the cold river and risk himself drowning before he would unlock himself and swim to safety. Of course, the famous milk can act, he would get in, of course, locked in chains yet again, have his assistants lock the milk can filled with water, so he had to hold his breath too while he was trying to escape. One time he did, instead of water, he put beer inside, and this man was not particularly, he was a healthy man. He didn't like to smoke or drink, so the fumes really got to him, and that was like one of his breaking points where he almost kicked it right there. But of course his most famous one would be the Chinese water torture, where of course, kind of like the milk can act, but you had glass where you can actually see him struggling to get out. Yet most of his acts before then, of course some of his handcuff acts and of course his milk can acts, he would be behind curtains. And of course his brother advised him, you're probably gonna get a lot more people if they see you struggling out of that straitjacket or out of that milk can. So of course, he did that, and everyone started to love him even more. But yeah, about the straitjacket thing. The way how he got that idea is, I think he went to go ahead and visit an insane asylum and saw some dude struggling to get out of a straitjacket, and of course, his most popular act ever was a straitjacket. That was like his most acted out scene, I guess you would say scene, or his trick that he would mostly do. So that's how he got his act for the straitjacket. He tried to He tried to step it up a notch by doing it upside down, but later he found out that's like it's a lot easier to do it upside down because the weight of your hands and the weight of your arms makes it a lot more easier to squeeze out of those straitjackets. But for people in the 1920s, when they see some man in the middle of Times Square hung 50 feet in the air with a straitjacket, I mean, it's all publicity. I mean, you would think this guy was godlike or immortal or spiritualistic, which of course we will get to that in a second. But yeah, he would people would actually claim that he was a spiritualist, and that he would actually, with his metamorphosis, he would actually dematerialize and reappear on top of the chest, which I think who thought that he could do that was actually the author of the Sherlock Holmes series, of all people. But yeah, he was getting pretty famous as a magician and escape artist. However, he did hit a lowest point when his mother died. He was in a really huge depression. He was really distraught. And this was when he wanted to go and find out if he can go ahead and connect with his mother from across beyond the grave, and started seeing spiritualists and mediums to see if he can go ahead and contact her. But on the way, he found out during these seances that he noticed some of these magic tricks that he knew how to do back then, and he recognized them, and he just felt betrayed, and he felt cheated that that these mediums and spiritualists would prey on the weak people, that their loved ones just died, and they prey on these people's emotions. And, he just got so infuriated now that he just started. His new goal in life was trying to debunk all these people, making sure that none of these guys would be known as real spiritualists. He went on to found I think the Science of America, or he joined the American Science Institute. Went on claiming that they were all frauds, and anyone who did try to prove him wrong, they would pay, not only give them the credit that they really are spiritualists, but would actually pay them a reward. He didn't almost find anybody. However, there was one person known as Marjorie, who was almost known to be the actual spiritualist, but of course, Mr. Harry Houdini doubted her, and of course, trying to test her psychic abilities and whatnot. First of all, wrapping her in chains and then putting her in a giant box, because some of the stuff that these mediums do is that sometimes they have stuff under the table. Usually they have their hands how they have their hands it's farther away from me, but they had their hands clasped with the seance people, so it kind of looks like they are not doing anything, but of course their feet are free to do anything. So their feet, they can dangle the bells that you would normally hear in a seance, or some of them are actually really talented, that they would actually what do you call it? They would actually write with their toes when they do the whole writing thing. How they're in a trance and they're writing on the paper, which that was the thing that really told Harry Houdini that they're all frauds, is that they went to a seance to contact his mother, and that the medium started scribbling scribbling on paper, claiming that it's his mother, of course in a trance. But what he did notice is that that the writing was in English, and his mother did not speak any English whatsoever, let alone write it. And on the top of the paper was a cross. Now that was also a big red alarm, because his mother was not Christian, she was Jewish. So why would she write a cross on top of the paper if she was Jewish? And that of course sparked his skepticism with these mediums. But yeah, of course he went to go on and continue these continue to debunk these mediums as far as to do a Chris Hansen and start to disguise himself, because of course people started, or the medium started to recognize Houdini, and knowing that if he's going to come to town, like, they're really cautious. So of course he had to go in disguise and then walk in and then, claim all these lies, blah 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 blah. My child died, I wanted to connect with him. And then, of course, when he finally had the proof that they were frauds, he went and pulled a Chris Hansen's, like, "Hi, I'm Harry Houdini," blah, 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 I guess in that sort of way, and debunking them. But, of course, with, what's her name? Marjorie, getting back to her, I think he did one stunt where he would pay her $10,000, and, of course, the credential of that she's a real medium, and she never showed up. So that kind of proved to Harry that she was a fraud and a fake. But yeah, throughout his career, one of his last acts, which was on a Broadway, down in Broadway in New York, was not only he performed all his acts throughout his career, but at the end of most of these performances, he would do examples. I just lost my words, but demonstrations. There we go. He would do demonstrations of how these mediums would do fake seances and how they would make these noises and how they would make things move and stuff like that. He would also go so far as to give free tickets to mediums, so that he could debate with them to see how true they really are. I mean, this guy was a real asshole. I mean, at least these people. I mean, I could understand. I mean, come on, they kind of cheated him out of his, he believed in these guys. They believed that he can actually channel these spirits, and he just felt cheated. So, you can't really blame the guy. But, weird thing happened about his death. Some say that it was rumored, that he was cursed by these mediums. Or, yeah, that, since he was debunking everybody, before his performance, one day, he was at McGill University, and one of the students went into his dressing room. One of them kind of asked him, "So I've heard that you can take punches to the chest. You got like an iron stomach." And of course, Harry, he said, of course, it's true, he can. And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, of course I can take your punches, And then, so of course, the guy gets ready and starts punching the guy. However, he kind of, Harry never got the chance to like tense his muscles up how he usually would. And a couple punches to the gut kind of ruptured his appendix. And after being punched in the gut, he went on stage and he started feeling woozy. He fainted a couple of times, but he still finished the act. Real showmanship person, But however, he started to not feel good after that. He went to the doctors, and they claimed that he had to take surgery. After the surgery, they claimed he had 8 hours to live. But man, this dude was a badass. He didn't have 8 hours. He lasted for at least 7 days before he finally died. Yeah, this man's a real badass. But unfortunately, he did die of appendicitis. It's hard to let me see. Peritonitis. There we go. Appendicitis. What am I talking about? Peritonitis and a ruptured appendix. They claim that it was because of that. That punch in the gut that made him die. And of course, it was the rumors that the people that he was trying to debunk, the mediums, kind of cursed him. But that's just a rumor. But the weird thing about that is that he died on Halloween. Yeah, kind of creepy. So you can't kind of blame me if the whole thing about the mediums kind of cursing him was kind of true. I mean, Halloween, man, come on. He died on Halloween. What more do you want? But yeah. Before his death, however, on his deathbed in the hospital, he made a pact with his wife, saying that if he really was able to come back from beyond the grave, that him and his wife had a series of codes to, just in case that the seance man or the medium person was a fraud, that he would say these codes from beyond the grave to be sure that he was the one that was really channeling as a spirit. And of course, I think after 10 years, his wife, every Halloween, she would do a seance, and of course, for each of those 10 years, there was no success, and of course, she had to quit. But however, even to this day, famous magicians like Penn and Teller and David Copperfield, they would come together on Halloween night to perform a seance to try and communicate with the spirit of the Great Harry Houdini. Even to this day, of course, still no word from him, but still, this guy was a great man, great magician, great escape artist. But that's a little bit for the history of Houdini. A little bit more than I expected. I didn't even get to the part where I have to explain about the roller coaster. Ooh, oh boy. But yeah. For this ride, I themed the entrance to the ride after a Broadway theater where Harry Houdini would perform his acts. And of course, he would also show the frauds of the mediums. I mean, he would go so far as to give, like I said, he would give free tickets to spiritualists and debate with them. You know, I kind of feel that it would be a best theming with the White City kind of thing going. The ride itself, if you've already seen it, of course you already have, it represents the various restraints and locks and the cuffs that Harry tried to get out of. The roller coaster is kind of designed to look like a knot. You know, it's like weaving in and out of itself to appear as if it's impossible to escape from, and you yourself is like Harry Houdini trying to escape from this ride. You know, I was actually going to include this ride in the Sleepy Hollow Harbor area and make it more like a dark ride where a medium has successfully brought Houdini from the grave. But you know what? There's actually, funny enough, I actually found out that there's a ride like that at Six Flags Great America. It was a Vekoma Funhouse. It's got two parts, where the waiting area acts as a pre-show where a seance happens. However, the spirit of Houdini interferes and accuses the medium as a fraud, stating that he was never in the spirit world to begin with. He was always there. And the ride is themed after his house. So, of course, you know, he was always there. Ooh. So, of course, the ride then takes you to a second room where it feels as the room is turning itself upside down. And you kind of feel that, too, in your seats. Claiming that Houdini's doing all this and this is like his final act to prove himself that he is there or something. Yeah, I mean, I was actually kind of surprised that I actually made a ride for Houdini. And darn, I came up with so many ideas. That's why this one took a while, because I wanted to really sink this in, make this really fully themed. And I'm like, wait, I just wanted to be sure, just in case, for the longest shot, if they really did make a ride like this. And sure enough, they made a ride like this, and I had to scrap my whole idea and just start with a new one. So I guess that's why this one took a while to make. But yeah, that's a lot for this one. At least it's now, you know, we actually got to have a roller coaster instead of, you know, me building more buildings. But yeah, we'll go ahead and see you guys next time at another video. Once again, a video has come and passed, and again, thanks for watching this video. Again, if you guys want to subscribe button's right there. I'm gonna have a lot more videos coming up, not just these Let's Plays. I'm working on them. Don't worry. Once again, also go ahead if you want to follow me on Twitter. The name's up right there, and also Google+. And I've got these two videos for you guys lined up to watch next. You know, without further ado, I don't want to drag this on anymore. Let's go ahead with the questions here. First question's coming from Mace Gamer. He really enjoys this series. Well, thank you very much. And he asks, how come I know so much about theme parks? Well, Sonny, it is a long story. It starts off... No, I'm kidding. Well, actually, yeah, it started off, with Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. I just barely got a PC, and that was one of the first games that I played. And that one really got me into roller coasters. With this one, it came with Six Flags Magic Mountain and all those other Six Flags parks and Alton Tower. Wait, RCT1 came with Alton Towers. But yeah, RCT2 had all those Six Flags parks, and funny enough, it did include Magic Mountain. I haven't been to Magic Mountain since I was a kid, and I was deathly afraid of roller coasters. I did not want to go on those things at all, ever. But once I saw RCT3 and how it is to build roller coasters and theme parks, that's when I really got into it. I started looking up like you know, like Coaster Force and all those other websites, Theme Park Review, RC Pro, all those theme parks. Started studying up on them, and of course that's when I also got into Disneyland. You know, the best theme park, at least themed wise, out there. And then of course I got a job at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Started working part-time at other theme parks here in California. Still working at one. Don't want to say one because, you know, it's top secret. But yeah, I am still working at one. Still love it. Really love the environment and the way the park is. I mean, come on, free rides and free admission to a park. How can you beat that? But yeah, I actually kind of hope to get into a career in theme parks, anything theme parks at all. Hopefully in the concept department, like, you know, Imagineering or something like that. So that is my strive, my hopes to do. But yeah, there's your question. Of course, it is also a hobby. It started as a hobby. But yeah, that is my whole purpose in life, I suppose. But let's go ahead and move on with the next question. Coming from, Evan Stater 16. Will I ever make a different park using CS? With a Rage Comics. Rage Comics. Why you no make park with CS? He would say. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. You know, my gimmick is kind of like, you know, not building with CS. So many people already build with CS anyway that not a lot of people, you know, want to like at least build seriously with custom or non-custom scenery. So, you know, my gimmick for now is just building with this with the regular theming. Maybe once I run out of stuff, I will start to go with CS. And I am starting I am contemplating on whether I can do custom scenery tutorials. And yes, I do know how to make custom scenery. I know how to model them and whatnot. I mean, yeah, model them and put them in the game and all that. So maybe I might start that up, depending on how much this channel is gonna get going. Maybe I might make it into like maybe a 500 subscriber special or something. But you know, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I think with the CS, at least one quick tidbit about CS. I think you guys remember my Pirates of the Caribbean trailer. Some of you guys, I kind of had to take it down just in case, you know, Disney wants to get on me about copyright infringement, so I had to take it out. It's sorry, sorry, but it's not there anymore. You can't see it. But for the people that do remember, I think I even also took down my Splash Mountain video. Darn these copyright rules. But yeah, let's see. Kind of lost my train of thought there. But yeah, I say yeah a lot. I'll probably make a video about CS. Let's just end it that way before I lose any more of my brain here. So for now, we'll focus on non-custom scenery stuff, and until we run out of stuff there, we'll move on to custom scenery. So let's go ahead and move on with the last question, coming from RCT3Y. Do I like Not Scary Farm? And they are ironically adding a maze based off Harry Houdini. That's pretty cool. You're probably gonna be shocked about this, but I have actually never been to Not Scary Farm. Shock and horror, no. Yeah, I know, it's one of the best Halloween cover or overlays, there we go, Halloween overlays ever. I mean, I think Knott's Berry Farm is the one that started that whole thing anyway, and of course you have Halloween Horror Nights and Universals, and you have Fright Fest at Six Flags, which is the only one that I've been to. But yeah, I can't say that I like Not Scary Farm yet because I've never been to it. But as for like the whole concept of it, yeah, I like it. I mean, it's a new thing that I'd like to do. Hopefully this year, maybe not. Maybe I have a chance to go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, so that's probably where I'm gonna go this year. But yeah, again, I do like that concept. Wow, I didn't know they were gonna make a Harry Houdini Black Magic called Black Magic there. It's probably gonna be about the whole seance thing and bringing Harry Houdini back from the dead. But we'll have to see once it's Halloween time, and you know, I might make a special again. You know, I mean, I'm starting to make new videos, starting having these new ideas about videos instead of just making Let's Build. So hopefully, if I have the time, I'll be able to make a Halloween special based on theme parks. So hopefully I will have that in time for Halloween. If not, then I'm sorry. I didn't have the time, but I will try my hardest. But yeah, I think that's all questions for now, all 3. If I didn't get to your question, either I already answered one of your questions before, I'd like to give other people a chance, besides you guys. Thanks for all the questions. I will, keep it there, keep them coming. I like these questions. I really like answering these questions at the end of these videos. So yeah, keep asking those questions. And as for the other questions that I have missed, I will try to catch up with them, even though you have already asked the question before. But yeah, keep them coming. I really like these. That's it for the end slate and this video. We'll see you guys in the next one.